Welcome to the 12th video in this series, making a 2D swarm shooter with C++ and Raylib. So in this video, what we're going to do, hopefully at the end, is be able to shoot the enemies and they'll disappear from the game. To be able to shoot the enemies and the enemies hit the player and the player get the pickups and all sorts of things like that, we're going to need some kind of collision detection in the game. Now we already have it with the collision map, but that's more for static collision detection, so walls, terrains, things like that. What we're looking for here is dynamic collision detection. The common approach for that, which is what we're going to do here, is to put what's known as a collision shape on whatever needs to detect a collision. Now, when it comes to the collision shapes, in general, it's a good idea to keep them as simple as possible. Otherwise, the calculations for collision overlaps can get quite complicated. And I know from experience that people who are just starting out with game development often spend far too much time trying to get collision shapes exact. And really, you don't need to. If you go online and just have a look, say, at Call of Duty hitboxes or something like that, you'll see that they're actually very, very rough. The reason being is it's difficult to calculate overlaps of complex geometry. So we're going to make one component for our collision detection, and that's going to be a circle collider. So it'll be a circular collision shape, and that is pretty much the easiest one for collision overlap detection. So I'm going to right-click on source, go to new file, and we'll make a circle collider.hpp. And then inside here, we can add the pragma once, the Raylib, and we'll need a transform on this. This can be basically a data container like the sprite and things like that. So we'll make a struct circle collider here. And it's going to have a radius on it. That's then the radius of the collision circle. Then we're going to have a const pointer to a transform 2D. We'll call this transform, and it can be initially be a null pointer. So the transform 2D pointer here, this is going to be passed the circle collider from whatever owns the circle collider. So that when we do the calculations for collision overlap, we know where it's starting from. That will be the position of the transform. So let's write ourselves an initialization function as well. So we'll do void init. We'll send in the radius that we can call r, and then we'll send a constant reference to a transform as well, which we can call t, and that will then be a reference. Then we can initialize this in place. So we'll say the radius is equal to r, and then the transform is equal to t, remembering the @ symbol there. And then finally, last but not least, we'll put a draw debug on here, like we have for our sprite position, and we'll put const on there because we're not doing any modifications. Let's go ahead and make an implementation file for this. We can right-click on source, new file, circle collider.cpp. At the top here, then we can include our circle collider, and we'll implement for now the draw debug. So I'll grab hold of this. And much like we do with the sprite, if I open up the sprite, where are we? Sprite.cpp. Down here, what we're doing is looking to see whether we're in this show debug mode, and if we are, then we're going to draw our collision shape. In our case, what we want to do is draw basically an outline of a circle. Before we do that, though, I want to think a little bit about this show debug. So at the moment, this is a static here on the sprite. Now, we could do exactly the same thing on the circle collider, but there are a few things in this game where we're going to want to be able to switch off and on debugging. So what we'll do actually is we'll delete this static from here. It's going to cause red lines in a couple of places. Let's go to the sprite here as well. Actually, we'll leave that there. I'll save the sprite.hpp. Let's go back to the main.cpp, and inside here is where we're using it down here. What we'll do is we'll put something in the game config, I think. So let's go to game config, and at the top here, we'll add an inline bool show debug. And that can initially be equal to false. Then if we drop back into the main.cpp, we can change this then for our game config and show debug. And that's going to be equal to not game config show debug. And I'll get hold of this and drop into the sprite CPP. And we can drop this now in here. We might need to include this as well. Okay, so we can use this everywhere now where we want to turn things on and off with the F1 key. We still have some red, yeah, because we'll have initialized the static up here, won't we? So I'll delete that as well. Okay then, so back to our circle collider. So here we're going to say that if not game config show debug, then we'll simply return because we don't want to draw anything. And again, we need to include this here. Otherwise, we can invoke the function draw circle lines, I think it is. Yep, there it is. So we take in an int, which is center x, an int, the center y, a float, which is the radius, and then a color. So we'll int cast then the transform position x, then we'll cast the transform position y, and we have our radius, and for the color, we can use, say, green. Okay, so for now, that sets up our circle collider in terms of having a radius, hopefully a transform, and being seen somewhere. Now we need to put one somewhere so we can actually see it in action. So let's go to our enemy.hpp, and we'll add a circle collider. And we'll need to include this at the top. Then let's go into the enemy.cpp, and at the top where we can initialize the collider. So we'll send in a radius of 30.0f, and then the reference to our transform. And then in the enemy draw, we can draw the collider. And that should actually be all we need to see this on the enemy. So when the game pops up here then, let's see what we have. Nothing. Oh, F1 to turn it on. There we go. Okay, so debug mode turns it on, then off and on. That's working good, and we can see the collision shape. And if we spawn some in, we can see collision shapes on all of them that have been spawned in here. Cool, so I press escape to close that down, and I close down the terminal. Let's go and add one to the bullet as well. So I'm going to grab this from here and go to the bullet.hpp, and we'll add one onto here. Then we'll go into the bullet.cpp, and again we can initialize the collider. So we'll do collider except the IntelliSense isn't finding it, but that makes sense because we need to include it up here, don't we? So I'll paste that in here and put the circle collider. That's a little bit better. Then we'll go back to our bullet.cpp. Hopefully it finds it now. Yes. So .init. And again, we'll send in the radius, which can be maybe 6.0f, and the transform. So we're hard coding a lot of values into here, particularly with the enemy in the initialization, for example, up here. Later on, you'll see that we'll have a load of configuration settings for this. With that added to the bullet, though, we do need to draw it. So let's go down into here and we'll draw the collider. All right, so we can test this out. What I will do is briefly hard code again the bullet to a really slow speed, 40.0f, something like that, so we can make sure that we can see the colliders. So press F5 to run. And first of all, let's turn this on with F1, and now let's shoot. And yes, we're seeing the colliders. Very, very slow bullets, but we are seeing the colliders. Excellent, cool. So I'll press Escape to close that down and close down the terminal. Let's reset the speed of the bullets as well. So now it's time to actually test our two colliders. They're on the enemy and the bullet. We won't react to them colliding yet. We'll just blog it for now to the console to check it's working. We have to think a little bit about how we want to do this. The easiest way is actually on the collider itself because it knows its own transform. It has a reference to it. So the collider can quite easily ask, am I colliding with something else? And that something else will be another circle collider, which has a transform. So let's go to the circle collider.hpp. And inside here, we can add ourselves another function, returns a Boolean, and that is colliding with, and it's going to detect whether it's colliding with another circle collider. Then let's take the definition from here and we can go then into the implementation and prefix this with circle collider. Okay, so the first thing we want to do here is we first of all want to check whether we have any transforms or not. So if we don't have a transform or the other doesn't have a transform, then we'll simply return false, there's no collision. Otherwise, we can see whether these are overlapping. So the way we do this usually is by getting the distance between the positions of the two transforms, but that distance squared. Why this is, I'll explain to you in a moment. To do this, we need a function called vector2distance_. It comes from RayMath. It's interesting without RayMath that we have it here. I guess it's in the cache, but we need to include it here. So we're going to include RayMath. And we're going the distance between our transform position and the other transform position. Then what we're looking for is the sum of the two radii. So we'll do float and radius sum, which is going to be our radius plus the other dot radius. And then finally, we can compare the two. So we'll return whether our distance squared is less than the radius sum squared. So if you're wondering why we've done the square here rather than the actual linear distance, which does exist as a function inside Raylib, well, the reason is taking the square root of something is actually quite an expensive operation, and we could have thousands of collisions going on inside the game. Instead, the alternative, doing this here, is much, much faster in terms of CPU cycles. This is actually quite a common thing to see, and in fact, there's a very, very famous video. If you search on YouTube, fast inverse square root, Quake 3, which is a game from my youth, let's say, that has a really clever function built into it to actually make approximate square root really, really quickly because they're so expensive to do properly on a computer. Now, that wasn't related to collisions. It was related to what are called normals, so the direction facing outwards from meshes. But nevertheless, it's doing a similar thing, trying to avoid doing the square root unless you really need to. So that's essentially what we're doing here. So let's see if we can actually use this now then to detect collisions. To do that, we're going to need to expose the colliders on both the enemy and also the bullet. So below the activate on the enemy, we can add const circle collider, get collider, returning our collider, and we're going to add exactly the same line to the bullet HPP as well. And then on the bullet manager.hpp, we're going to need to be able to get hold of the pool as well. So we'll add a const, and then down here we've got the standard vector unique pointer bullet. Then we'll return a reference, get pool, and that then returns the pool. And we'll do something very similar for the enemy manager as well. So I'll copy that line, we can go into the enemy manager.hpp, and I'll drop that here. In this case, we want enemy. Okay, so we can get hold of the colliders and we can get hold of the pools. As I've said before, we'll abstract this a little bit later on when we have a couple more managers, but we'll leave this duplication here for now. Let's go into the main.cpp, and then where we're updating the player, the bullets, and the enemies. After this, we can do a little bit of collision detection to check it's all working. So we'll do for and auto at bullet. That's going to be in then our bullets dot and get pool. So first of all, if the bullet is not alive, then we'll simply continue. We can ignore this one. Otherwise, we need to iterate through the enemies and see if it's hit one of the enemies. Before doing that, again, we can check if the enemy is alive or not. And now we can do the collision detection. So we can say if the bullet get collider is colliding with the enemy get collider, but now we'll add a trace log into here. Control S to save and a deep breath. So let's run the application. And hopefully now we can shoot at our enemy and we should see the trace logs appear when we're actually hitting the enemy. Now nothing's being removed or dying yet, we'll come to that, but let's see if this is working. So if I shoot you, do we see a log? Yes, we do. We see a lot of them because it's passing through the enemy. Don't worry about that. Main thing is that we see them inside the log, which is really good. Cool. All right then, so escape to close that down and close that down as well. So now that we know that's working, what we can do simply is kill these off. So to do that then, we get hold of our bullet and we deactivate. Then we get hold of our enemy and we deactivate. And then once we've done that, there's no need to do that again. So we can break out of here, and now we should see things disappear when we've shot the enemy. So I'll press F5 to run the application. And let's take a look. Are you going to disappear? And there we go. Cool. We shot the enemy. We can see we've got 1 hit. Enemy deactivated there. And down the bottom, we've got enemies 0 from 1. What we can do now is spawn some in, I think with L in this case. Got a lot of enemies, but only 40 in total. So we reused that 1 enemy. And now we're able to walk around and shoot things out of the game. We don't have any death animation or sound or anything like that yet. We're coming to that later on. But the main thing now is that we can actually shoot and destroy our enemies, which is rather nice. Cool, so I press escape to close that down and close down the terminal. What we could do for a little bit of cleanup here, did we have a key to deactivate? Oh yeah, we don't really need this anymore because we're deactivating now by killing them, aren't we? And also I'm spawning in too many. I'm going to change that maybe to 12 here. And with that done, we've reached a good point, I think, at which we can stop this particular video. We've done a lot on this one as ever, but we've made another good step. We're able now to kill the enemies. What we need to do is start refining a little bit. I'd like the death animation to play on the enemy when the enemy is shot. And also the spawning itself is a little bit rough. Basically what we're doing inside the main here is just spawning everything instantly at the same time into the game, which is here. It would be a lot nicer, I think, if they were very, very slightly spread out. So maybe there's a very small gap between each one being spawned. And also, you've probably noticed by now, they can often spawn on top of the player directly, which isn't fair. What we want in a swarm game is them to sort of spawn slightly away from the player so they can then start running towards the player. So we'll look at the spawning and the animation for the death of the enemy in the next video. As ever, thanks very much for watching this one. Comments, questions, welcome as always on YouTube, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.